Warmongers seem to always find one way or another to demonize Western protesters and peace activists standing against war and invasions and call them mentally ill. The reason is simple: they jeopardize Western imperialist goals. As expected, the ongoing pro-Palestine encampments that started at American university campuses and spread around the world have been vilified and labeled by President Joe Biden and other pro-Israel officials as anti-Semitic and a threat to Jewish students. Heavily armed police have been deployed on campuses to dismantle peaceful encampments and brutally arrest students and faculty, while pro-Israel groups have been harassing and assaulting protesters. At UCLA, a pro-Israel mob was filmed attacking protesters with pipes, mace, pepper sprays, and fireworks, while campus security watched and police waited several hours to intervene, doing little to nothing. President Biden did not condemn the violent Zionist groups, and there has been no national outcry. The glaring disparity comes as no surprise. Remember American peace activist Rachel Corrie? She was crushed to death in Gaza by an Israeli soldier while protesting the destruction of a Palestinian home in 2003. Well, her behavior was called illegal, irresponsible, and dangerous. In 2012, an Israeli court claimed the military and driver did nothing wrong. Remember when a policeman pointed his gun at the burning U.S. airman Aaron Bushnell back in February? Although Bushnell clearly stated his motivation for setting himself on fire, mainstream media outlets immediately questioned his mental health in an attempt to divert attention from his stance against the U.S.'s active role in the genocide in Gaza. As Bushnell said, this does not compare to what people have been experiencing in Palestine, where Israel's use of white phosphorus against families in Gaza burns skin down to the bone, with more than 34,000 killed so far. Bushnell's act of protest follows a history of similar sacrifices like that of anti-war activist Norman Morrison, who self-immolated protesting the U.S. genocide in Vietnam in 1965. There was also an uprising of student protests in the late 1960s against the Vietnam War and the 1980s against South African apartheid. In 1971, Daniel Ellsberg, the analyst for Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara's classified study of the war in Vietnam, known as the Pentagon Papers, and his co-defendant Anthony Russo, believed the war was immoral and secretly released a 7,000-page report to the New York Times. Both were vilified as traitors and faced charges, carrying a total maximum sentence of 115 years for Ellsberg and 35 years for Russo. The leaked report revealed that 4 successive presidents, from Truman to Johnson, lied to the public about U.S. policy in Vietnam, and that anti-war protesters were right. Later, anti-war movements against the invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq were also found to be in the right, and further proof of the U.S. government's lies to the public. And these past 8 months of live-streamed massacres in Gaza alone and the recent uprising of student encampments have revealed Western lies used today to justify Israel's genocide and vilify those against it. That's why millions are sacrificing their lives, careers, livelihood, education, and safety to amplify the voices of the oppressed, confident that such protests carry a truth that will dismantle imperialist projects and eventually free Palestine.